Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Saturday, October 31st, 2020. Happy Halloween. Today we're going to be taking a look at the 2020 electoral map based off polling data. So this is our final 2020 map based off polls, just because around this time 4 years ago, we were seeing the final stretch of polling data across numerous battleground states. So I thought it would be interesting to do a final map based off of the final polls. Now I understand polls can be released in the next 2 days. But realistically, these polls are pretty much set in stone. We have polls in every single state across the country, and it doesn't look as if we're going to be receiving 50 states plus more polls unless you're looking at, a skewed SurveyMonkey poll. But when we're looking at the numbers, we have averages and we have a lot of results from key states. The only states that I really think could fluctuate before Election Day based off this map is maybe Texas. But other than that, Texas, Florida, Ohio, other than that, these states are probably going to remain the same. So we'll start off with the safe states, and if you're wondering where I get my numbers from, I get it from 538. You may personally not like 538, but they're a lot more accurate than Real Clear Politics. So I'll tell you that much. Looking at 538, they're one of the only polling averages websites out there, and they are pretty fair with their estimations. I mean, they got 2018 correctly, got 2012 to a T based off their forecast. 2016 was still off, but their popular vote data was still on track. So I am trusting in 538's numbers. I don't think that this electoral map is going to be the final result. I just think that it's interesting to take a look at the pre-election polling data and compare it to the final results in probably 5 days. And I can't believe I'm saying that. So we're going to start off with all of the safe states. We're going to start with the Republican states and then move into the Democratic states. We're going to go alphabetically. Now, before you're alarmed, you do have to realize that Donald Trump is underperforming as it stands today. I mean, he's down 9 points nationally, and in some of these key Republican states, he isn't exactly holding as strong of a lead that he had 4 years ago. So when we look at Alabama and you look at Arkansas, sure, they're safe for Donald Trump, but he's only up by roughly 20% rounded up. He won these states by much larger than that in 2016. Idaho goes red, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Nebraska's 3rd district, North Dakota, Oklahoma, West Virginia, and Wyoming. These are all of the safe states based off of polling data. Now, I understand polling data will probably be off. We will probably see the entire red wall, exception of, actually, no, not the entire red wall. South Dakota becomes safe. Tennessee becomes safe. It's possible that, Utah ends up being safe on Election Day. But based off the data that we have today, these are the only safe Republican states. For the Democrats, they have some other states as well. California, Connecticut, Delaware, Joe Biden's home state, D.C., Hawaii, Maine's 1st district, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Washington. So that puts the Democrats at 163 electoral votes. You're starting to see Joe Biden take away considerably from Donald Trump in terms of the electoral count. Joe Biden has a much more commanding lead nationwide. He has a much stronger safe electoral vote count. So this is not a good sign early off in this video for Donald Trump, and it never really will end up being somewhat of a good sign for Donald Trump. When we move over into the likely states, I'm very confident that at this point, when I'm looking at the states right now, I don't know if that's right or not, but based off the likely states, I think the likely states actually put Joe Biden ahead. Now, these are not Democratic polls. These are polls that are trusted by both sides, respected by both sides. And, Republican internals are never the most accurate. I know people love to say Trafalgar Group was most accurate in 2016, but I might point you to those 8 Senate races that were fundamentally wrong in 2018. I mean, they were off by 7 in Texas. They predicted a Republican victory in Nevada and Arizona, neither of which came true. There's just so many inconsistencies that really made Trafalgar Group not credible whatsoever. There's a reason why they're C-. A broken clock is wrong right twice a day. So when we're looking at these numbers, I think that the Democratic Party should be very happy, but also I think there are some surprises. Look at Illinois. This state is not considered safe based off the numbers. It was considered safe. It was considered safe, but it is not right now. And I think that's just due to the fact that we saw a new poll from Swayable move down, which I think is just really weird. It moved it down from being, obviously safe throughout the entire campaign season, except for, when was this? September, but that was due to lack of data. That was this poll right here, a D- rated pollster. Again, not a lot of data in these states, not a lot to look at, but I will say that the Democrats might see that as alarming, but realistically, it means nothing. So Illinois goes likely for the Democrats. Colorado is likely for the Democrats as well. The state of Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska's 2nd district, which I think Nebraska's 2nd district, that one is going to go pretty solid for Joe Biden, but I don't think you could have predicted that 4 years ago. Michigan, you definitely could have. Michigan goes likely for the Democrats. That's a flip from 2016. Nebraska's 2nd district is a flip from 2016 as well. Nevada, that state goes to the Democrats. I don't think that's too surprising. New Hampshire should not be too surprising either. New Mexico. Pennsylvania is a flip from 2016. Virginia and the state of Wisconsin. So there we have it. Biden's at 279, flipping the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and flipping the congressional district of Nebraska second. That puts Biden at 279. Now let's get into the likely Republican states. There are quite a few. So again, we're going to go alphabetically, but again, highlighting that Joe Biden is at a much better position based off his likely states. He's already winning the presidency. Donald Trump is barely, cracking 100 by the end of this map. So we have the state of Alaska going red, Indiana, Kansas, Missouri, Montana. Montana's on the verge of going down to being lean, by the way. It's 5.1%. We can go ahead and check it out yourself if you don't believe me. Let's see. Montana. Where are you? There you are. 5.1%. It's narrowed down significantly from the start of the campaign season. So Montana goes likely for the Republican Party. Nebraska at large, which I don't think is true, but again, we barely have any data in that state. South Carolina goes likely for the Republicans, Tennessee, and Utah. So that puts Joe Biden at 279. Of course, nothing changes. Puts the Republicans at 121. Donald Trump, not doing too well in terms of these states. Now, South Dakota, sorry, I forgot to characterize. South Dakota goes likely for Trump. So that puts them at 124. And that leaves a number of toss-up states up for grabs for both sides. I mean, the fact that Donald Trump is likely in a number of these states is a great indicator that he is not on track to do well this election season whatsoever. Now, obviously, that is something that his campaign would have to work out, but there's very little time. There's 3 days, and they're, underperforming in states they won by 30 points in 2016. So I will say that these numbers probably will skew to the right on election day in terms of these likely states, but if it's anywhere close to true on election day, there's absolutely no way that Donald Trump wins. If he's likely in South Dakota, he's not winning the Rust Belt. If he's likely in Tennessee, he's not winning the South. If he's likely in Utah, he's not winning the Sun Belt, the southwestern region of that. So again, these are indicators we will see on election day if they end up true. Obviously, D-rated pollsters shouldn't be blindly trusted, which is why the swing state ones are the ones that really should be taken a closer look at. But I thought it would just be interesting to do the electoral map right before election day and compare the final results. So now we're going to move on to states that I call lean states. These are states that are pretty solid for certain candidates, but could go either way. So let's get into that. Joe Biden has, 4 lean states. Donald Trump has 1, and I'm sure you can guess which lean state that is. That is the state of Texas. That is a state where he currently leads by 1%. It's almost in the tilt column. It's very close, very competitive. The Democrats are expecting to do okay there. They're not expecting a win. Joe Biden doesn't need it. If he gets it, he'll be the first Democrat to do so since Jimmy Carter. So Texas goes lean for Donald Trump, puts him at 162. Of course, Biden remains at 279, and Nebraska's 1st district goes to Donald Trump by a lean margin. Now, Nebraska's 1st will probably go by an 11-point, 12, 13-point margin for Trump. Nowhere near lean, but again, lackluster polling data. The only poll that we have in that district, I needed to characterize it based off the data that we had. I can't pick and choose which polls to trust. So everything is averaged in. Now we can move on to the lean states for Joe Biden. We'll start off with the first state, which is the state of Arizona. That state I don't think is too surprising. It's actually been pretty consistent for the Democrats throughout the campaign season. I think Donald Trump in the beginning led. But since then, Joe Biden has maintained a pretty commanding lead over Donald Trump in a state that Donald Trump won by 4 points in 2016. Florida is lean for the Democratic Party. They should be very happy with those numbers as well. I believe it is a 2-point lead right now for Florida. I don't know why I'm saying I believe. For Biden in Florida, yes, 2%. And then in Georgia, actually, neighboring the state, is up 2 points for Joe Biden as well. So Georgia goes lean for the Democrats. And then we have Maine's 2nd district, which has Joe Biden ahead by roughly 2%, and then North Carolina, which has Biden ahead by roughly 2% as well. So all of these states put Joe Biden at 351, Donald Trump at 163. So we have 24 remaining electoral votes, and that comes from the states of Iowa and Ohio. Both of these states are traditionally competitive, both of which went to Obama in both 2008 and 2012, and then 2016 rolled around, and then Donald Trump was able to win those states by pretty deafening margins over Hillary Clinton. So Joe Biden is at 351, Donald Trump at 163. Donald Trump does win the state of Ohio by a tilt margin. I mean, this state is exceptionally close. We can see that Donald Trump is up by 0.9, but then in the state of Iowa, it gets exceptionally close as well, but it disagrees. It has Biden up by the narrowest margin, 0.1%. Biden had a 1.3% lead a few days ago, but it has since narrowed up to being 0.1%. It's insanely close. It could go either way. Right now, I still think Donald Trump is the favorite, but based off the numbers, it puts Biden at 357. So this win is larger than Obama's win in 2012, but not larger than Obama's 2008 victory. But like I said, a number of competitive states. So looking at this map, Joe Biden will go region by region and just analyze really briefly what likely happened. So actually, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that on the side you can see all of the electoral votes combined, 357, 181. So we'll talk about this southwestern region really briefly, and we'll include Alaska even though it's nowhere near it. Alaska, that's a state along with Utah that pretty strong for Republicans normally. There's no real reason as to why they should be competitive this time around, but because of Donald Trump's underperformance with traditional conservative voters, both of these states are now considered likely. In Nevada, Colorado, and New Mexico, these are states that Hillary Clinton won in 2016, and Joe Biden has only solidified the bases there. In Arizona, it has gone to the Democratic column. That is a flip from 2016. It's pretty significant because this state could very well be a Democratic stronghold in 10, 20 years. Texas could follow suit. Texas went from being 16 points for Romney, 9 points for Trump, 2 points for Cruz in 2018, and now it looks like 1 point for Donald Trump in 2020. Kansas is a little bit more competitive than traditionally. That's just due to the fact that Donald Trump, again, is hurting with more, center-right traditional conservatives than the ones that traditionally, or not traditionally, I guess, the ones that normally support him. And then we see the same type of reaction in Montana and South Dakota, and also Nebraska's 2nd District. Voted for Romney by 7%, voted for Trump by 2%. It is expected to flip by a pretty solid margin. I mean, it's likely today. So looking over at the Rust Belt, this is the next region I'd like to take a look at. We have Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Now, these states are all likely for Joe Biden, and that is also pretty significant. These 3 states in particular landed Donald Trump in the presidency in 2016. They flipped, and they ended up going to Trump by less than 1%, 0.73% in Pennsylvania, 0.27% in Michigan, 0.77% in Wisconsin. Those are numbers that the Democratic Party, has likely haunted them for the past 4 years, and that's the reason why they've allocated so much money to these 3 states. They were swing states prior to Obama, and I think it was a miscalculation of the Clinton campaign to rely on these voters too heavily. So the Rust Belt, right now, Biden's stronghold, but Donald Trump does have a history of winning there in 2016, so it's not completely out of the question, but just Donald Trump is not performing as well as he should be. Iowa, Ohio, 2 states that usually vote in unison are breaking up this time. Ohio, which has voted correctly for 60 years, is voting against the election winner. However, things can change. Both of these states are tilt. One poll could literally change who currently leads on Election Day. That can't happen in Wisconsin, Michigan, or Pennsylvania. Minnesota and Virginia, states that Hillary Clinton won in 2016. These are states that are probably going to be very solid for Joe Biden this time around, especially Virginia. I mean, I think that Donald Trump today has a less than 1% chance at winning a state that, hadn't gone to the Democrats in decades. Not even Clinton could win the state of Virginia prior to Obama. So in Illinois, that's just a fluke. I think that's just due to the swayable poll. But again, I don't pick and choose which data to trust. Illinois still is characterized likely on this map. In the Northeast, Maine's 2nd District moves over back to the Democrats. It voted for Obama twice, voted for Trump by double digits. It looks like it's returning back. Maine at large and Maine's first, both solid for Biden. New Hampshire is solid for Biden as well. And the final region I want to discuss is the South. We are seeing increased African-American turnout nationwide. We're seeing increased minority turnout across the country. A lot more suburban white women turning away from Donald Trump in North Carolina, in Georgia, in Florida. And while, Donald Trump may be marginally increasing amongst Hispanic voters, the senior vote and also the white vote is significantly changing in favor of the Democratic Party. So while Trump may be subtly improving amongst minority voters, Biden is doing much better compared to Hillary Clinton amongst white voters and suburban voters. So these 3 states, I see why Joe Biden is leading. I don't think that Joe Biden will win Georgia on Election Day if I was to, if the election was held today. but I will release my final prediction in 2 days, and we will see by the end of that. So the final map is 357 for Biden, 181 for Trump. These are one of the most, this is the most updated 2020 electoral map based off polls. So take with it what you will, but this is the final map. Flipping states of Arizona, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and Nebraska 2nd District and Maine 2nd District. Biden wins the presidency. Trump is able to retain the swing states of Ohio and Texas. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord link for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch and then a playlist for my 2020 election predictions if you want to see where I think the race stands today. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later today.